that begs the question then, is there like a situation where a property is too small or a deal is too simple or it's something like that where it doesn't make sense? Because that's the kind of thing where I like to zero in on those things for
Totally.
our guests, our audience.
So a few things to that point. One, with the traditional, fully engineered studies, there was definitely a point where it didn't make sense because, like we were talking about earlier, just that cost prohibitiveness of, if you're paying at a minimum $5,000-6,000 and up from there, depending on the property and the cost basis and scope of the project, it's just not going to make sense for a single family rental, where you paid, depending on where you're at in the country, $150,000, $300,000, something in that range. What we've done with DIY Cost Seg is we've brought that price down. And one of the ways that we've done that is we're gathering that information that would have typically been gathered on a site visit directly from the client. And then utilizing our software to produce that report for them instantly. So I actually have a couple examples here of sort of like the really low end that we've still seen people
Yeah,
that have used
I'd love
our.
to hear a little bit about those.
Perfect. Yeah. So the lowest report that I've seen on our website run. So when I say cost basis, that's going to be purchase price minus land value, because land is non-depreciable. So we can't include that. We always remove the land value from the study. So someone came in with a single family residence in Kansas. Their cost basis was $37,000. For the whole property. Obviously, that's not indicative of the whole country. There are those pockets where you could find deals like that still. But we identified $11,000 in depreciation that we were able to accelerate for them. So what that turns into, and this is just an example, everyone's tax bracket and tax situation is obviously unique. So they're going to want to check in with their CPA, but say they were in the 37% tax bracket, that $11,000 in accelerated depreciation turns into $4,000 of actual tax benefit that first year where they could reduce their taxable income by that $4,000. So with our website reports, on the residential side, it ranges from $495 to $995, depending on the cost basis of your project. As soon as price and land value are put in, it lets you know where you fall in that range. This client, they obviously were on the low end of that range, so they only paid $495 for the report. So they still received around, $3,500, $3,700 in actual tax savings, for that report they purchased. In the past, that wouldn't have been possible with a fully engineered study, someone going out to the site, just the cost that they would charge for that would have eaten up all of the benefit that that person could have expected to get from that property. On the
Gotcha.
other end, our highest project that we've worked with was a hotel with a $14.5 million cost basis. So completely other end of the spectrum. And we were able to identify 2 million in accelerated depreciation on that project.
Wow.
So, we could help either end at this point just because of the changes that we've made in our process that we take with our online offering. I'd say our sweet spot is probably in the 150,000 to $1 million range. Like that's where I see most of the reports coming in at cost basis wise. But obviously we can help on either side of that as well. So as low as $37,000 and as high as 16 million or more.
So I think what I'm hearing is it's always worth it to at least do the math.
And we
Like,
always we have like a simple calculator page and then sort of a more
awesome.
detailed estimate as well. We always want you to see like, hey, what is the estimated benefit of this report going to be to me before I make purchase? We always want you to be happy with the product and what you're going to receive and just make sure that it makes sense before you actually, proceed with purchase.